Good evening, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good night, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, let's get into the news. I'm reading from a Politico article. This is what happens when Republicans take over the House and the Senate. But according to CNN, they haven't been in a better position in 80 years. This is the best position the GOP has been in within the past 80 years in terms of taking back the House and the Senate. This is a Politico article about what will happen in the future. The GOP PS committee dilemma: disband it or turn it on Dems. Now, the Politico article makes a point, and because of YT guidelines and, policies, I'm going to make it a point right now, this turning it on Dems. At this point, right now, this juncture, there might not be any evidence to turn it on specific Democrats like Nancy Pelosi, or begin investigations of Nancy Pelosi or Liz Cheney or Kinzinger, or anybody on the committee. That's my viewpoint as a content creator, being responsible and abiding by guidelines. I cannot tell you what Republicans who are Trump Republicans who want retribution, because Democrats focused on one terrible tragic day, ignored an entire summer of chaos and mayhem and curfews in every major city in this country, $1 to $2 billion in property damage, according to Wikipedia. And 19 lives lost according to Wikipedia. Last I checked, it might be over 19 lives. But the Republicans are going to engage in the same type of investigations, the same type of probes, the same type of politics started by the Democrats. If you didn't want this back and forth, if you don't think that, see Democrat, they interviewed a Democrat within this Politico article. They said, let's authoritarianism. It's like, well, it is not authoritarian to investigate Republicans, but it is when you're investigated. Sorry, doesn't work that way. All they've done is investigate Trump. They have not indicted Donald Trump or charged him with any crime. The Attorney General of D.C., the Mayor of D.C., the Attorney General of the United States of America, Merrick Garland. Nobody. Has the Southern District of New York, nobody has indicted or charged Donald Trump. Nobody has ever prosecuted or indicted anyone on conspiring with another country or foreign intelligence officials. No American has ever been nobody has ever been indicted on conspiring or working alongside a foreign operative to interfere in 2016. You've had only endless, absurd fantasies being pursued. The suspicion alone was enough to begin the special counsel, the Mueller probe. Okay. Suspicion Comey is memos. That's not evidence. You can't use Comey as memos in a court of law. You can't use John Brennan or James Clapper as ODNI, or DHS reports that state high to moderate confidence, or a Senate panel, headed by Richard Burr, that confirmed the height of moderate confidence. You can't do those things. So if the vantage point is, well, there's nothing to investigate Nancy Pelosi on, she wasn't in charge of any security. I'm saying, yeah, that's true right now. So I'm not a Trump Republican. I am a Trump Republican terms of a voter, but I'm not a Trump Republican. Congressman or Congresswoman? What's going to take place so I can't categorically state what they're going to do, because I am not in government. And I won't be in government in the House or the Senate. So I want to make that clear for you, to guidelines and policies. But I will say is, Ted Cruz had an interaction with a government official that might be investigated. So you can go and Ted Cruz, type in whatever. It's public record. Ted Cruz had there was congressional testimony with a government official that couldn't answer the senator's questions. But ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see endless investigations of Democrats, in this case with Hunter, for example. You have a lot to work with. You have statements within those emails, requests. How can you use your influence on the company's behalf? I mean, if that's not, could you imagine if Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump or Jared Kushner had emails on a laptop that they just forgot about? Where people around the world are asking them how they can use their influence on behalf of a specific company in another country that happens to be invaded right now. Under the watch of President Mashed Potato Brains, the same country that he said he's going to withhold $1 billion until they fire a prosecutor that, according to Rudy Giuliani, was about to investigate the company that was hiring his son. That's interesting. Of course, there's nothing there. But Republicans are going to investigate. That's all they're gonna do. What did Democrats do for the past 4 years? Please tell me if you were a wonderful, morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrat. Did they pass a Green New Deal legislation? No Green New Deal legislation? Not nothing. Did they abolish the filibuster? Did they pack the courts? Did they? I think well, okay. Let's see. Did they Medicare for all single-payer healthcare? Because that's what they promised in 2018. They promised these things in 2018. All they did was a special counsel. While that was had began with the worst attorney general of all time, before they won the House, but they continued, and they then investigated Trump's tax returns and all that was the Southern District. But there were numerous probes, related to the greatest absurd farce and theatrical performance of all time. The Trump-Russia nonsense, which never happened. Trump never conspired with anyone. He was never installed by anyone. He defeated Clinton, like I said he would 6 years ago, and I told you there's gonna be a market crash in 2021. And I'm not clairvoyant, I'm not right about everything. But I'm pretty spot on major issues. That's why you watch the channel. But they're going to endlessly investigate Democrats, it's going to be very amusing and interesting. And Democrats are going to, essentially with Trump Republicans, they'll get a taste of their own medicine. Hopefully, they'll pass legislation that where we can rebound economically, we're heading into recession with interest rates going up and inflation at 8 to 9% inflation numbers. I'll talk about that on the Stock Market Crash channel. Inflation numbers show that we're in a really bad situation. And really bad. Inflation is still at 8 to 9%. It's getting worse. And we're in a recession, interest rates going up. Oil prices $120–220 per barrel. And so you could say, well, the all-time high was 147. But we didn't have 8 to 9% inflation. And we're heading into a recession with high interest rates going up. So it doesn't look good at all. And Republicans will either dissolve the theatrical performance, disband it or turn it on Dems. Again, if there's any information, which there is that people don't know about, or that hasn't been sensationalized or publicized, Republicans could very well address that. See, it's like the assessment trial. People are like, critics of the Durham probe be even people who are, interested in it, but especially people who want to disband the Durham province. That wall was a failure hit, they didn't indict me assessment. Are they in convict systems like, well, the conviction for like a 1-month jail sentence, you think Durham cared? The issue was getting Robbie Mook and Mark Elias to testify against Hillary Vance took place. That's why this special counsel is going for a much bigger, wider, more expansive investigation than just, we got somebody online to James Baker. And nobody in the jury believed that a bureau official was lied to because everyone rightfully acknowledged that the bureau was in on it with the Clinton campaign. There was no reason to investigate Donald Trump. This was a conspiratorial theory justified by media, and Democrats and especially the United States government. But people are easily deceived, and they don't understand that Durham also found out that people were working for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, while at the same time funneling false information about Trump to get people to get the government to investigate Trump. I mean, this is like a widespread, and the testimony alone was enough, it was a victory for the Durham Pro Special Counsel. The fact that they didn't get the conviction as a public relations defeat. And I explained that in the segment prior to this one, so watch the segment prior to this one. But they found out a lot from Mark Elias, from Robbie Mook, from numerous people at the Bureau, from numerous people who worked alongside those who conspired against Trump, because they did work in unison to create and obtain false information, a completely fabricated narrative. Give that to media, which Clinton personally approved, according to Robbie Mook in testimony, and Elias also, when he talked about the Fusion GPS to give all that stuff to the United States government, for the government to investigate Trump. And now you're gonna have Trump Republicans in the House, in the Senate. They're going to investigate everything, parallel investigations, the Durham probe, Hunter's emails, and they could use this committee against Democrats. According to the Politico article, give me your thoughts below, hit subscribe right now to this channel. Hopefully they focus on the economy. So we can help. So they can help so Republicans, hopefully, can help get us out of this mess that we're in. It's only going to get worse. We're heading towards a major stock market collapse it's much worse than what we're seeing that I predicted. And, unfortunately, a terrible economic catastrophe awaits us. Unfortunately, the bubble that was inflated by $10 trillion in fiscal and monetary stimulus. Ladies and gentlemen, give me your thoughts below. And hit subscribe right now. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks for being here, folks.